Hello, everybody. Welcome to Organic Frequency Radio with Stephanie and Oksana. Welcome. We are first time broadcasting from Feminine Frequency Radio Network, and I am very excited. Very excited, and Stephanie will not be joining me today, but I do have a very amazing guest line up with me today. And so yes, first I would like to say that I'm very excited to announce that July the 2nd is the first day to open our Feminine Frequency Radio Network. And Stephanie and I, we've created this network platform for females to have a space to be heard, to share their experiences and knowledge and their tools and gifts and expand our consciousness while we are staying healthy and maintaining our wellness on every level as much as possible. So I'm very excited, Anthony as well. And we already had an amazing show right before this one, and I believe it went well, so I'm excited. And today we will be chatting about, yet again, balance and wellness and how we can accomplish that through gifts of music and sound, through computer and technology, and through OneWheeler. I probably am not saying it right. OneWheeler. Well, I'm pretty sure majority of our listeners already know I'm Russian, and English is my second language, even though I've been here forever. But I kind of enjoy keeping my accent once in a while. It's fun. So anyway, so let me introduce our special guest today. His name is Evan Samek, and he's a product UX, user experience designer, living in Washington, D.C. He has a degree in philosophy from the University of Maryland, as well as over 10 years experience working on computer software interfaces and working on what he calls experiential art. Evan was also the drummer, guitarist for DC's Presto Bando, a folk art rock band that was very active in DC's music and art scene, having scored a number of fine art and short films. He can be seen riding the streets and trails of DC on his OneWheel, a futuristic one-wheeled hoverboard that requires amazing amounts of balance and practice. Nice. Very nice. So I would like to welcome Evan Samek to this studio.
Thank you. Very nice to be here, Oksana. Thank you very much.
Yes, welcome. I'm very excited for you to be here and speak about wellness and balance with this interesting, unique tool that we're going to be talking about. But first, I'd like to hear a little bit about you.
Me.
And and I guess, we typically start with diving a little bit into your background and how you are and why you are where you are now today.
Yeah. Wow.
How did you end up here?
Yes.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. And so, I mean, it's going to have to be a nutshell because, it has been a crazy 10 years. So, I did graduate University of Maryland with a degree in philosophy, but at the same time, the whole time I was there, I was taking tons of other classes. I had 9 different majors. And by 9 different majors, I graduated with them. I was just going through every single different vertical that you could find in college because I just didn't know what I wanted to do. And I was lucky enough to be very close friends with a couple, engineers, a bunch of engineers at University of Maryland, and, kind of one of the, whatever honors programs. I wasn't in it. but they were. And they really inspired me to get into programming and computer stuff. And then that was about the same time. This was like in late 2000s where the whole big web bubble, the innovations on the internet was really taking off. And they didn't offer any programs at University of Maryland for for web design or for anything to do with making a product. Kind of, it was about like computational theory and stuff like that. And so anyway, I ended up settling on kind of double majoring in philosophy and also in computer science. But then I hit the computer science engineering calculus at the University of Maryland, which was like I just couldn't pass that class. I just couldn't. I was just math was definitely not like my absolute forte, but like everything else about writing code was great. And so went ahead and just took every elective I could, which didn't count towards it. So dropped computer science, but still learned everything I could about web technologies, human-computer interaction, a lot of digital art classes, stuff like that. And ended up starting like one or two little kind of companies that or little LLCs that would do contracting work. And from there, I then joined a company called Hello Wallet, which I worked at for 5 years, which was a financial technology company that tried to democratize financial advice to everyone.
Interesting.
Yeah. And what I mean by that is basically teaching people like how to budget and basically helping using technology to help people automate their financial literacy, so they don't have to worry about money. They can focus on their lives. And then I went on to work at a bunch of other startups, and looking forward. I'm actually about to join a new one soon. And outside of that, I've been doing consulting in DC. And about almost a year ago, last September, I bought myself a OneWheel, which is this hoverboard.
Hoverboard, you call it?
Hover.
Hover? Okay.
Hoverboard.
Well, how did I say it?
Yeah, Hoover. I think it's
Hoover.
Yeah, I think it's Hoover.
Hover. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. But the reality is that like it's not really a hoverboard. It's just like it's literally what it says. It's one wheel device that you stand on like a skateboard, and it's electric, and it has gyroscopes in it, so it helps with a little bit of balance, but not with endurance, because if you're going to be going, you can go miles.
Yeah.
So a 20-minute charge on that thing will take me 7 miles or whatever. So I've been using it to go all over DC, and I love it. So that's just a general kind of thing of who I am.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, so my next, I guess, step would be to ask you, how did you find yourself at the point of wanting to have one wheel, for example?
Sure.
How is it tied to your business directly, or is it tied to your health and wellness? Why did you come up with it? Like, why do you want that?
Yeah, I'd say at first it was really just I've always loved to just like kind of try out new things. I'm a product designer, so like part of what I do is look at things that companies sell or people sell and see how they can help you in your life or provide joy. I mean, that's help, right?
Oh yeah.
Somewhere. So for me, the past. I went through a little bit of like a rough patch in my life, just like both professionally, and personally. And I had a neighbor who lived above me actually, who owned a OneWheel, the first prototype of it. Now I never even heard of it, and I saw this thing, and I saw him get out of his house one day, get on this like one-wheel device, stand on it, and then just go. And just balance through, like it's just you're completely exposed to all the elements, but you're on this little board, and it's taking you up hills, down hills, slowing down. And I was just, that sounds like freedom, So because of like just like the rough patch of time I was going through, like what I think like anyone can go through, that was like one of the first things, and I remember it just, I was obsessed with getting it. I just wanted to get it. I wanted to try it. I thought it'd be a cool way to get around DC.
It is. It's like a mini machine, like a mini car, because it has a battery, right?
Yeah. I mean, the batteries. The battery. So it's interesting. So like, 20-minute charge on it gets you like 5 to 7 miles, depending on terrain. And I got it 8 months ago, and I've learned so much about how to use it in a way that's so mindful, because you have to think about things. Because part of the braking mechanism for it is the brake actually, when you apply any braking to it or slow down, it goes ahead and redistributes that potential energy that was generated from the motor back into the battery, so it recharges itself. So in order to get farther, you have to think and be mindful about the pathway ahead. Like if you're going down a hill, you don't need to go so fast. Like slow down, recharge that battery up a little bit. And so the whole time it's kind of like this exercise, not with pure joy, but also like, problem solving in your head, but in a very mindful way. I don't know, that's kind of the way I put it, I guess.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're exercising your, like, you're keeping yourself on toes, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Because what I sense is, and I haven't tried it yet, and I would love to, but what I'm sensing is, like, it's like, because my background is in dance, and balance for me is very, it's an important aspect on not just physical level, but emotional level.
Yes.
And, and I think, like, anything, like in my dancing, if I feel this balance, to me, it's a sign that something is not fully balanced within me.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just that specific day.
Right.
Maybe it's more than just that, but, so that's why I'm very curious how, like, that OneWheel, because I've done the skateboard a little bit in the past, and I understand that, but because this is OneWheel, this is a very different feeling, and you really have to feel your balance.
Oh my God, yeah.
And like, have you noticed your balance improved?
Oh my God.
Anything has improved?
Yeah. Like it's funny. It's like like I know people that dance. Spend lots of time with people that like love dance, and one thing that I noticed is that people love to dance. They sometimes in conversation or just like just casually speaking, they'll go into a dance pose, like mid conversation, and it's like kind of maybe like a reflection. This is part of my whole user experience psychology fascination with human behavior. But like people will go into a pose, and in a way they're balancing there. And I always kind of thought that was kind of interesting. And so for me, I've actually been finding myself randomly striking like these balancing poses where I'm like just to relax.
How interesting.
And I'm like asking myself why am I doing that? But for some reason it's relaxing to me, and I think that there could be some kind of connection between that and the joy you feel on this OneWheel thing, where once you get used to it, it's like, again, going back to freedom, it's like flying. It's like snowboarding over everything, uphills, downhills. It's freedom.
Nice.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. Very
cool. Well, I think I'm definitely gonna have to try that one.
Yes, absolutely. Like I am thinking of, in the District of Columbia in DC. I'm thinking about, as time allows, based on like other things I'm involved with. But I'm thinking about trying to possibly offer some lessons, and I just ordered the newest one that goes 20 miles because part of it is because I wanted the newest one. Part of it was because I wanted the very newest one.
Your ego wanted it.
Yeah, the ego wanted it. But at the same time, I also wanted to ride with other people because it's you want to share that feeling, right? Like it's a natural high. I mean, it's just absolutely excellent. So, yeah.
Well, and here we go. Like there are so many things, like including this little piece that not only, in my view, you can most likely work on your balance, but also it's a fun thing to do, and it brings you joy, and you can share it with somebody else.
Yeah, and the other thing about it is it's utilitarian. It has a utility. I mean, and it's also electric. I'm giving back to the environment.
Yeah.
I have to Uber. That stuff.
Have a car in the city.
That doesn't hit you at first when you get it. When you start realizing the fact that I can use this to get from one place to another, and I'm leaving an incredibly small carbon footprint. It's good.
Wonderful. Cool. So I want to know more about the music aspect of your life.
Oh,
and how that, pretty much what is your history with that, and how you can blend it in into your personal healing, the wellness, the balance aspect of life. Because to me, sound is, such an important presence in this existence, because it is part of existence, numbers.
Yeah.
So, and as a dancer, to me, sound is everything.
Yeah. I mean, you gotta dance to something.
Not necessarily.
Well, I mean, you gotta have a song in your head. I mean, you're right. Yeah, you don't have to. Yeah, you're right.
You can move without music, but to me, music is inspiration.
It's
one of the inspirations that I have.
Right.
And
I mean, there's a reason why when people hear music, they start moving.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're right, though. Yeah, you could dance for no reason at all, no song whatsoever.
And I grew up with a sister who played piano. She has a conservatory degree.
Oh, wow.
So
that's cool.
I grew up, listening to her at 6 o'clock in the morning, practicing with Bando before I have to get up to go to school.
Wow.
So I've developed pure love
for music.
For music at 6 a.m. in the morning.
It's interesting, right? It's almost like that our brains have and this is so making it up, but it's almost like our brains have a whole section devoted for just music. And I say that because throughout my life, again, not scientifically, but metaphorically, it's over the course of my life, the more music that I've had at different points in time, they create an association with the memories and the feelings right there, So there's something, I guess, because it's one of our senses, it's one of our primary senses and everything, that it just is very, very fascinating, I think. So, to go into kind of my background in music and everything, sure. So I was very lucky to have parents when I was growing up that, first of all, I not only was very lucky to grow up in an area that had excellent education, I also, was very lucky to grow up with parents that valued music and education a lot, where they made me right away, as soon as possible, 3rd grade, 4th grade, whatever, go ahead and start playing clarinet.
Mm-hmm.
And I started playing clarinet for a while. Then I got kind of bored of that. A lot of people were playing it, and I always wanted to be my own person, do my own thing,
Mm-hmm.
And free guitar. And the fun, the cool instruments. It's all classical. I transitioned over to oboe. So oboe is one of the absolute, at least people have always told me that it's one of the hardest instruments to get a handle of, etc. So, so I played oboe for a while, and then I played All-State.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And,
what is that?
All-State is, I grew up in Maryland, and, it's kind of I don't know, it's like the select, soccer league,
Okay.
You have to audition, and you let you in.
Audition like that.
Yeah. And this was my parents. Yeah, it was my parents pushing me, right? And then around 13, because my family, we're all, we're Jewish. I grew up Jewish and agnostic now, but I had a bar mitzvah. which was, the Jewish way of saying, I'm a man now.
Oh, really?
At 13,
That's
right?
what it means.
13, 13 years old, I'm a man. I don't think so. I had a lot more to learn.
Well, I guess that brings another question. What is a man then?
Oh, yeah.
What would be considered to be a man?
Oh, yeah, I don't know.
You still don't, right?
No, I mean,
I would agree with that.
I guess I would like to be I'd like to think that I'm a man. I don't, I guess that's something for other people to judge, right? But anyway, for my bar mitzvah, I got a guitar. And when I got that guitar, I also got guitar lessons for it. And that just, was like, okay, I don't have to play, a whole new world from Aladdin, in a giant auditorium, with all the rest of the school band. I can create my own band. I can be cool and have a guitar and, have my own band. And so, I started my first band with a friend of mine named Jeff, and a drummer named Craig. And then, that morphed into joining with some other of our friends, and, just from there, just the music thing just exploded. It was a major part of my life. And I played oboe until the end of high school, and then went ahead and just continued to play guitar through college, and ended up in a band in D.C., which we really never tried hard at all. We never booked I feel like we didn't book any shows ourselves. Other people booked them for us, and we just had fun with it. It was pure artistic creation, and it was called Presto, Bando, like you said. And other than that, I do film scoring and stuff like that. So.
Fun. And how many years you played together?
Together with who?
With the band?
Oh, the band? So Presto Bando? Well, I mean, I think we had a good 4-year run, between, I don't know, I'd say probably 2009, 2014, maybe 2013. We decided, one day, that we just couldn't do it anymore. Because it's like a relationship.
Yeah.
It's a relationship.
Right. Cycle of life and
exactly.
of any connection.
Exactly. Yeah.
Evolution. Natural evolution. Awesome. So, what type of music and how did you get to I think you said folk art. Right?
Yeah. So for me personally, and I think we were Presto Bando was definitely more of a kind of rock pop band, but it's kind of core roots, and there was a little duo, me and the lead singer, my friend Brandon, or Don, as most people know him in DC. Me and him both played in a different band called Skin Pink Outfit, which is a ridiculous name, but it was a college thing. And
Pink. Hello.
Yeah, I don't know. Honestly, Brandon, I have to credit with most of the creativity of the band in terms of bringing the songs in. Not only that, but I mean, being just a leader in terms of I know the lyrics and everything. And my function was actually I played drums in that band mostly. I would get on guitar sometimes, but I also helped compose the songs, figure out what they would be. And but I have to credit him with really he's just a genius, musically. So that's kind of a lot. It's a lot.
Well, it's a band. So.
Yeah.
But I guess what my question is, for me, I create and because what I want to know, I guess, what can you say about music for you? How do you?
Yeah, wellness.
Yeah, how do you heal through it? How do you what's music to you? How do you because you've been writing music for some time.
Yeah. Yeah, I can tell you. I mean,
where do you get inspiration? And one, that's one, and two, how you heal through it? Because for me, sound is important, and music,
yeah, so
is one tool I use for healing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or even opposite, joy, celebration.
Yeah, so number one, I mean, music for me, has healed me in so many ways, and I think that the reason why is because when I've gone through my life, it's been a huge part of my life. So there was a period of time where, this rough patch in my life, where I went through, where I just, I was not feeling inspired, and I wasn't playing that much. And I still would play, but practice, it'd be the same things, like over and over, but it wasn't writing, it wasn't, I didn't feel empowered. And, part of that rough period of time was really going through, working when you work in startups, so I was doing music on the side, so it was my full-time gig. But when you're working at these startups, these are companies where you have a CEO or you have somebody that, has an idea for something, and they run with it, and then everything else needs to be figured out. And, that can lead to chaos, because, people don't know what they're doing. They're learning on the job, and they're learning as they go, and you try and hire just smart people, and you grow up to speed. So I've worked with just, absolutely brilliant people. Just the smartest of the smart when it comes to, the world of software and everything like that. But it's stressful. Incredibly stressful.
Of course, it's a job.
Yeah, and the hours are long, and you have to just be ready on a moment's notice. Because there's any time your app or website will go down, right? So that, and also knowing that when you design stuff, like any artist or designer, when you design something and you put it out there and people are going to use it, that's part of you. That you feel you're attached to it. You feel judged. And that's definitely a junior designer kind of feeling, an artist feeling, is that judgment. So that stuff created a lot of anxiety in me, and it was worth it. I loved it, and they were the amazing experiences that gave me the ability to be able to speak and think how I am now. But that took away from music. I wasn't able to do music. There just wasn't enough time in the day. And if you want to be a musician, or if you want to be able to innovate in music, or write stuff, especially original stuff, or semi-original, I don't think anything.
Well, the inspiration, I guess.
The inspiration,
you have to be kind of, for inspiration. Well, sometimes inspiration does come from sorrow and misery.
It's true.
I've had those.
It's true. But, I don't know this for a fact. I'll say, I think you're right. I think that's very, very true. And some of my favorite artists are sorrow, or sad. But I have almost more respect for them as musicians, because they hold on to that sorrow and channel it and still do the job, which is to express themselves. And that takes, if you're sad and putting yourself out there, I truly think that there's a possibility that a lot of the greatest artists of all time, people we've been seeing dying in the news, whether it's Prince or whoever, all just too many to count.
Well, and I also believe, I've been taking examples for myself the past year, even though you're going through, and many people have been going through difficult kind of changes in their lives, you still see them being, active in something and doing something. Because when you're going through this with awareness, when you're going through your pain or, facing fear, so whatever you're going through, emotional pain, with awareness that you're going through that, that's when you really can create and live your life kind of by example, in a sense, not losing yourself. You're still going through that, but you're observing yourself going through it. Because I've done it myself as well, where you're still exchanging and sharing information with others, even though you are in, that space, kind of darker space, but you're aware of it.
Yeah.
If you're not aware of that, then you lose understanding what the point of it is,
Yeah, and maybe part of it's just how dark, it's maybe it's, I don't believe in black and white. I believe in a gradient, between the two, right? The gray is all between different saturations, whatever. I think that it depends on the situation, the intensity of that, there's trauma or whatever it is that, can let you transcend it. But there's something else, I think, right? Like, because there may be something else that's been instilled in someone that makes them be able to punch through that and still be able to put out, like, a song about, like, suicide or thinking about killing yourself. I mean, I think about Elliott Smith, who's one of, like, amazing artists from the 90s and, early 2000s. He's, like, an idol to me, and his story is so sad. But he pushed through, and his music now is honored and respected now. And it's one of those things you look back and you're like, I wish he didn't,
We all have our path.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, hold your thought. We're going to come back to this topic. But in the meantime, let's go for a quick commercial.
Great.
Stay tuned, guys. We're coming back.
Hello and welcome. You are now entering the corridors of Twilight Epiphanies Talk Radio with your host, Cindy Magnuson. Premiering Thursday evenings, 7 to 8:30 p.m. Central Standard Time on Feminine Frequency Radio Network, you are invited on a talk radio journey to the center of self. Join us as Cindy guides you, the listeners, in sensory and perception upgrades where revelations and golden epiphanies pierce the veils of illusion. Don't miss this opportunity for your next dose of Twilight Epiphanies.
Organic Frequency Radio Show is 1.5 hour live chat with Stephanie and Oksana and their lovely guests about the nature of existence and holistic way of living here and now, and perhaps even after. Join us every Monday at 6:30 p.m. Pacific Time. Call-in number to listen live is 929-477-1183, and to ask a question, press 1 to connect to the studio. Our guests share their stories and walking path of their healing, along with services that they have developed and packaged for the rest of the world to experience and benefit from. We're here to hold a space for an exchange of experiences for the purpose of evolvement and expansion of consciousness.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Organic Frequency Radio with Stephanie and Oksana. Today we have Evan Samek in the studio, and we are talking about multiple modalities such as music, technology, and OneWheeler. I cannot say it. For the benefits of our health and emotional balance. So we're chatting about that, and we right now going back into discussing how music is a powerful tool to connect to your own self, to connect to your own happiness, to your joy, to your stories, to be able to use sound and music for cleansing, not only emotionally but also energetically, which it's very much tied, emotions to energy, of course. But to me, music is important, and that's the conversation we're having today. So, Evan, the floor is yours. What I want to know is how, you write music, right?
I try.
You try?
I try.
And what typically inspires you? Maybe in the past, maybe today. Like, anything has changed, and if it has changed, how? And what are your main inspirations to write?
I don't think I would be able to answer that question up until recently. To be honest with you.
Maybe that's why we invited you just now.
Yeah, I think so. Definitely. So I'd say that the first thing that really inspired me to write was other people. So this is the difference between creating your own thing versus collaboration. And I think that there could be a level there of like self-doubt, about whether you have the ability, for me, like whether I have the ability to kind of really write my own stuff. I've always been pretty hard on myself with that because, just end up being, wanting, like having idols or people that are, absolutely fantastic, like Bob Dylan or whatever. So I'd say on the whole, I was inspired mostly by other people at first. And so going back to what I was saying, like about my friend Brandon, or my bandmate, lead singer, songwriter from Presto, Bando, I would look to him. He would inspire me. His music would inspire me. He was, he's a goofball. No, I'm just kidding. He's a great guy. But like,
hey, good inspiration.
No, he's again like one of very, very talented. So for me at first, it was definitely other people. Because I didn't feel good about pushing my own ideas out there because I was too hard. I was like, I'm copying something, whatever.
Well, that's how we first typically do it. And typically we kind of programmed as well.
Yeah.
You have to follow your role model, and then we have to learn from somebody. And when you learn those basics, or you learn somebody else's, may be able to fly on your own.
Well, I would say, I think that's true. I think for me too, it's just that, there's, with any young artist collective, there's a competition. It's amongst people, right? Naturally. Just trying to get your name out there and everything, and there's a lot of judgment.
Of course.
But, it's not a big deal. It's like, anything else. So, that went on for quite some time, and then, I decided, after the band stopped, I was going through my rough period of time, and I was kind of in between jobs and everything. I started diving. I had a lot. So basically, for me, was I had the luxury of being able to. I was laid off from the job that I had earlier, and it was not me. It was a lot of people were. It was just it's one of those things that happens in startups all the time, and. I was lucky enough to, receive, some, the ability to basically live on my own, and not have to worry about money for a little bit.
Nice.
Yeah. It was earned. It wasn't just to hand me out. And the company was very nice for doing that for me. But that gave me time, with a lot of time in my hands, to be able to dive back into music and not have to perform, but to really start studying. And I started studying folk music. I started studying Appalachian music. I started studying these other ways of playing guitar, which I am a main guitarist. Like, I'm a guitarist, rhythm mostly. I do love lead. But anyway, that kind of really led me to being able to explore that stuff, and I started realizing I can compose stuff on my own. And when I was down, I was able to channel that negative energy, that like kind of negative feelings, into something beautiful. Because, in music, commonly there's like one paradigm out of many, because I studied music theory for very briefly when I was in high school. I've come to appreciate it a lot now, but when you play a chord on a guitar, there's a major chord. And the bass level there's a minor chord, and there's a whole bunch of other kinds of chords. And the way that everyone agrees, about these two different chords, major versus minor, is that major feels happy, but the minor feels sad. And this gives me a framework for expressing myself through music. And when I figured that out in my head, which required patience, lots of just focusing on, just the instrument and how it works and wanting to express myself through it, it was just mind-blowing. It, opened my mind to the ability to actually write my own stuff. And I no longer felt this fear that, I was, copying someone, because it's all inspiration.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So,
mm-hmm.
yeah.
This is beautiful because I always speak of how we can transform our weaknesses into our strength. And that's one beautiful example how, your emotions, your pain, your desire to balance yourself turns into a beautiful piece of music.
Yeah.
So you pretty much facing your pain, your emotions, and you are making it flower into something beautiful, and that's how you also cleanse yourself and release all of that old, no longer important memory to keep.
That's right. And, that couldn't be more true. It feels like, as somebody that, again, tries to assume, I assume that I don't know everything, and, I try to keep learning, keep it open-minded.
Mm-hmm.
As much as I can, and I get better at it all the time. That really resonates with me.
Yeah. And that brings me to one of my examples.
Yeah.
And that's something I write about in my book, in my autobiography book, the podcast, is how when I was 6 years old, and I'm not going to go into the whole story what happened, but I was in a situation where, as a child, I was placed in a situation where I afterwards was very afraid to be alone, which was a moment where my abandonment emotional realm got triggered.
Right.
And after what has happened, I started dancing.
Oh.
And I'm also not going to go too much into the story. You have to read my future book.
Oh, sure.
But pretty much because I was because of my sister and because I couldn't be at home, and it led to me being in her dance rehearsal on the stage, observing everything because I was fearful of staying at home by myself after what happened.
Right.
And I turned that because, and we're going back into also patterns, emotional patterns.
Yeah.
How it begins from the childhood and continues.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, abandonment pattern, and I'm writing about it in my book as well, I actually had. But looking at my life, I'm an immigrant, I became an immigrant at 16 years old, and the abandonment pattern actually followed me. It lessened and lessened, and then I became to a point where I'm observing it with a smile, and I'm like, okay, what else,
Yeah. But it was in the past, right? Yeah.
It was in the past.
Yeah.
But, and that's why my dancing is very much emotionally connected, because I've been healing my emotions as well through dancing, even though it's one of my amazing hobbies.
Right.
Physically, but emotionally,
But it's expression, would you say?
Yeah.
just like music.
Yeah.
It's art.
It's I don't even, what would be the thing that's not expression? It's internalizing, I guess, right?
Yes.
But
everything in a sense is an expression. And that's why when someone is lacking that in their life, like for example, a lawyer or somebody who is, doing something.
A lawyer.
Well, yeah, I got a lawyer example. But, because a lot of people go for law and then they quit.
That's true. There's a lot of, lawyers, people that go to law school, they end up, I remember one of my a great, I would basically almost call a mentor, one of my first companies I learned a lot from, He was originally, he's in marketing now, but he's a law. But yeah.
So we have a listener who has a question for Evan. We are bringing him on. Hello, welcome to Organic Frequency Radio, and please introduce yourself and ask a question.
Yes, hi, my name is Hugh. I just came across your show and see Evan's a musician, and I'm in the area where he is too, in the East Coast, and I have somebody that I wanted to make him aware of. I haven't seen too much of this done in events, but it's called Artainment, ARTAINMENT. It's beautiful mandalas and kaleidoscopic images with music in the background, and the gentleman who does that has done it. I'm sorry?
Oh no, so the website is Artainment, or how can I find?
Yeah, you can just even put it on YouTube. It's ARTAINMENT, and the main site is Light Party, LIGHTPARTY.com. It's a very interesting site. It's got a lot of holistic medical information too, but music also is very therapeutic if it's done right to help people heal. Oh
my God, yes. I could not agree more with you. I'll definitely check out the site.
Yes, if I could share my name too, I'd love to help. I have some very powerful gifts, and I'm working on huge missions and visions of transforming global economics, education, politics, religion, and more, empowering women and indigenous people as I work on bringing new paradigms based on spirituality and unconditional agape love. And I'm in Ashland, Virginia. The center of the universe is what they call it. But,
wow.
I'm going to give you 3 words that will bring you to a big website, and you'll see all kinds of interesting documents and things on there. I've had quite a bizarre life. I even share common background with the president, but I'm not into the ego like he is. I pray for him and pray for our country. But, if you Google my last name only, Traulsen, T like Tom, RAULSEN like Nancy, and then put the word AND, AND, and then Trump, TRUMP. I don't do anything inbound or outbound personally on the Internet. Everything on the Internet has been put there by people who interact with me, but if the host can give you my phone number, I'd love to speak with you and help get more attention to your music. We really need to calm down this chaos before we start getting totally out of kilter.
Sure. I mean, how about, my website, you can go ahead and contact me on, send me an email.
Yeah, I don't do anything through the Internet. I just use the telephone or snail mail, so I can also give you my number if it's okay. I don't mind sharing it.
Okay, well, but you can talk to Oksana about that.
Yeah, if you can go, if you can send a Facebook message to our Organic Frequency Radio. Do you? I'm sorry. Do you?
No, I don't do anything inbound or outbound on the Internet.
Okay, I'm sorry.
That's all right. I stay in a very creative mode. No, everybody, we all have different fingerprints, and there's a lot of reasons I don't get caught up in all the minutiae. So I'm constantly creating, and that's what I'm looking to show people. Actually, it's better to put the devices down and get out into nature and just start resonating there, because that's God's classroom, and when you come back in, there's a whole much calmer perspective on things that lowers your stress level and heightens your awareness too. So.
Right. Yeah. No. I mean, for me, if I want the number one thing, if I want to go play music or want to write outside as much as I can, or if it's inside, it's going to have to be a room that has something, inspirational inside of it, or an inspirational environment. So I totally understand what you're saying, sir. Definitely.
Yeah, my phone number should be on that big website if you look around on it too, so you can, and you can also. I'm sorry.
I'll look it up.
And Hugh, we also have email. You could email us if you'd like.
I have people that help me get information out onto the Internet. So the gentleman that controls that website, I could ask him to connect, but it's easy enough if you just Google those 3 words. You'll have all kinds of information to look over that I think you'll find quite interesting. And actually, to the lightparty.com, the gentleman who has Artainment, Dr. David Raphael, has been a presidential candidate in the past, and he's his birthday is actually.
Okay.
Oh, you found it? Good.
No, I found it.
You can introduce yourself through my name. His birthday is the 4th of July, too.
Okay, sounds great, sir.
Well, thank you so much.
Well, I'll continue listening. I didn't mean to interrupt the show, but very timely that we're all here to be a blessing to each other. I think we need to really realize that before it's too late, and we go. And 100 years is like the blink of an eye in terms of eternity. I was blessed with an earth angel for a wife for 35 and a half years who taught me the lesson of unconditional love, which is what I say we all incarnate to learn as we learn it, to truly understand that it's all about love and caring and sharing with each other.
Yes, absolutely, indeed. And thank you so much for calling and tuning in. Thank you.
Well, thank you. I'll continue listening then, and God bless you all, and a safe, happy 4th of July holiday.
Yeah,
thank you.
Blessings.
You too, sir.
Thank you. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well, wonderful. So, we're going to look into the website, but now let's go back into more speaking of how tuning into the sound brings back, because I am a strong believer, if nothing is getting triggered, saying here and now is the way to live.
Yes.
Of course, we're,
I
understand how the system works, but when we're getting triggered, typically emotionally, then that means there's some sort of pain or fear about something around. And typically it is through sound or a person or some image or something, right?
Yep.
So would you say you utilized music to your advantage?
Oh my God, yes. I mean, it's an outlet. It's an outlet that's there. But the other thing too is that I've had plenty of times where I've had friends who have little tiny children, and they start crying, and luckily they'll have a piano there, and I start playing some major chords, the happiness. See if that kind of does anything, and yes, sometimes it's maybe hit or miss, but on the whole, the major chords, the things that we associate for whatever reason as being positive and happy, soothe. And kind of the background from that is kind of, it remains to be really truly understood, but it's almost like over time, in the history of music, that there are the same core chord progressions, sounds, transitions between notes, scales, whatever you want to call them. All these frameworks of known things that make people feel like this sounds good, or this sounds sad, but good though,
Like somebody identifies that being.
Exactly, and I think that there's something there. There's something there about that really, really, really resonates. It doesn't matter who you are, and I've noticed a lot more people, a lot more musicians these days. Basically, there's just a lot more musicians because of technology and things kind of evolving. You can go on your computer and play around with MIDI, which is basically just a very simple technology. It's I hit this note, it should produce a sound, which is this note. And electronic music in general, has kind of gone out there. And people that don't love music or not totally investing in the whole entire world of music, I've noticed their introduction to getting into that world is something like electronic music because it's so simple and to the point. It's these familiar rhythms that we feel that we've heard before. So it's a very interesting thing to think about, at the very least.
Oh, absolutely. It's always been part of my life. But also, I guess going into more technology now. You just mentioned the electronic music, and it's interesting because with me, I've listened to and I enjoy a very broad spectrum of genres. Yes. But lately I mean like a couple of years now, I've been interested more in electronic music.
Yeah.
Because for me the rhythms are, I became very picky about the words.
Yeah.
What people sing, and because of course they're going to portray their own feelings through their own words, the meaning of words, and what it means to me. And I just don't want to hear that. Majority of words, what's out there is.
Well, what do you listen to? I mean, it's like what like. It's always about what I call like the domain of what you immerse yourself in, you've had experiences with, because music, not like anything else, is huge. I mean, the different kinds, we go through like all over the place, and so I'm just curious, like what kind of music, you have exposed yourself to,
Well, Metallica used to be on my list. Yeah. And my first ever concert I went to in U.S. when I was 16 or 17. I cannot remember right now. I think it was 16. It was Metallica. Wow. But I grew up kind of like around 13, probably starting to listen to them because my cousin was listening to them, and and I kind of enjoyed it. Yeah. But the thing is that also, I still do believe those that listen to, majority at least, of more of a heavy sound music, then there is something to look into.
What do you mean?
I think people do play that, and I mean, I love it too, but I don't listen to it anymore.
No, I don't.
There's no need for me to listen to it. Even though I still enjoy it, but I don't receive the same type of satisfaction.
Why do you think that is?
Because I'm starting to really connect with, the typical parents conversation.
Yeah.
And it's not that I am,
typical parents.
But because it does.
More mature. Oh, is that? I don't know.
No. But because for me, you would want to hear those kind of sounds because you're resonating with them, because you've got some sort of anger within you, and that's normal. We all have something that of the negative, the dark. Like that's what That's why we have to face it. That's the part of the game here.
I agree.
With extra, interferences here.
I totally agree. What's just interesting is that, like, I heard Metallica and, like, heavy, but there was, for me, like, I respected, what they've done and everything, like, I heard. Yeah. But, in full honesty, though, that, like, I never really got into it. And by that, I mean, like, they were my go-to to play and everything like that. And, and it's just like you said, like, for whatever reason, it is totally individual, right? Mm-hmm. It's like, I think it's probably because I'm like a romantic, like, sensitive guy, like, or like, I just like, to me, when the anger always translates to, like, sadness or, like, melancholy.
Okay.
And so I think that, I don't know, I mean, it's interesting.
Okay, no, I can see that. I can see that. And yes, it's a different flavor. Yeah, but at the same time, it is still some sort of,
yes,
sorrow, some sort.
Yes, it's I think you could say, I guess, negative, like, overall.
Yes.
Right? Yeah, it's not positive.
I mean, but, the sound is great, but still, to me, it's still, and of course, technically, if we're going to go into, like, the what is the sound measurement? Like the unit of measurement, I guess. Like
time signature.
Yeah, and
well,
that's MHZ or something like that.
Like the hertz, you mean the frequency?
Yes.
Oh, the frequency. Yes. Yeah, I mean that's what the.
Yeah. It's the frequency. It's the.
Well, yeah. Actually, yes. I think you're right. I mean, like if you think about like death metal or something that's like real hardcore kind of metal stuff, frequency is going to be, it's wider, it's rougher, it's more basic, and then the opposite thing is like you think of things like happy-go-lucky like pop music, it's on the upper frequency range, it's like.
But I think but I also think mainstream music like that is still, like it prevents still the brainwashing.
Yes.
With the words and everything.
Yes.
And
I agree.
like I haven't listened to it forever now.
Wait, listen to what forever?
Like the mainstream pop music.
Oh, no. Well, remember, there was a time period in pop music where it was,
of course.
It was Britney Spears, NSYNC, it was very capital, kind of.
Yeah, but I didn't listen to that.
Yeah, I was definitely not that part.
So the point that I'm trying to make here is, and then classical music. So, and they say classical music typically, and not just classical, but classical one helps, like plants to grow, like they have, like help for you to relax, like help for you to, I guess, clear out your frequency in a sense, like it's tuning you in a sense, aligning you. And so, we're experiencing different emotions here.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
So that's why I'm saying, is metal music really there to heal us, like to trigger these negative emotions, and then the more of a classical music and.
Well, you talk about healing. Right?
Well, yes.
Well, healing. It's kind of interesting, because one question, I guess, then is, right, so for trauma, going through hard stuff, is it right, or not right, it's the wrong way to put it, but like, is it good or healthy to recall something that is stagnantly in the past, you can't change it, it's always going to be there, and you constantly remember it, and cause yourself all this pain and sorrow and everything? Or should you really just acknowledge that's what happened, that's not me now, and just look forward? And for me, it needs to be allowed. So otherwise you get stuck in the past.
Well, and sound, allows you to move forward. Like it's I guess. Well, and also, like, to me, like, as an artist, you're embraced in all of the creation, but you also observe that, like, as awareness. Like, if you keep, continuing being awareness as an awareness, and not get caught up, because we all kind of get caught up. Even I sometimes get too caught up in, like, a very narrow situation, and then I'm like, whoa, step back and realize, I'm missing something here, the bigger picture.
It's a human condition.
So, and as an artist, that's why inspiration is so, it's one of the, in my perception, most important aspects of our existence, because it's not...
Wait, what is?
Inspiration.
Oh, yes. Oh, my God, yeah.
And inspiration comes from something, from, like, the sense of freedom.
Knowledge.
Knowledge and freedom to practice that knowledge however it comes out of you, right?
Yes.
So,
totally.
And if we don't have that inspiration, we are losing desire, or we're losing, desire to move forward.
I agree.
In our evolution.
What's the point, then?
Well,
I mean, that's what I'm saying, right? You're right. Like, it's like, if it's stagnation, everything stop. Yeah. I mean, I totally agree with you. Totally agree with you.
So, but I want to, we have about 20 minutes left, so I want to touch upon a little bit of technology, because you are a bit of a guru
No, not true.
on some of the aspects of technology.
I guess, I mean, I will say that I had an early fascination with taking things apart and putting them back together.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. Long, like, I have too much time spent doing that stuff,
Okay.
so sure. I'm trying to be modest.
Boys do like to do that. That's okay.
No, I know. Well, girls too. I mean, again.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Like, don't look at me wrong. Like, I mean, like, just real quick
Here we
statement.
go.
Oh yeah, real quick statement. Okay.
Okay.
The tech world is so screwed up with masculine, like kind of energy and stuff like that. And like when I was working back at Hello Wallet, I worked with like the entire design team, I think, when I was there, and it changed, but like it was mostly women, and even the UX team that I helped build out. They majority was also women, and like that was great. But there's not enough of that, and that's been all over the news and talked about, and it's completely correct, because there's just still that. Anyway, this is a tangent.
No, I hear you. I hear you. Masculine and feminine, and
it's something that I do care about.
No, I feel the passion. But yeah. So, but what I wanted to kind of bring up is, so you mentioned before the radio that you do a little bit of computer stuff, but in a sense you are exploring the combination of computers and humans.
Oh, yes.
So, and I mean, my view on human and technology is not very,
positive?
Not fully positive, no. I see the benefits of it, yes, right. Absolutely. Some things we just simply don't have to do, and we can have more time to ourselves, to spend time with the family, to enjoy life. Right. And I see that. But that can be also, it can get dangerous a bit. So, what's your view on that? What are the pros and cons? Or on a perspective of wellness, holistic way of life, like natural, healthy, because we're still part of life. We're still part of the Mother Gaia, and we naturally created. We're not computers, or at least we're not computers to the level of our computers.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, the preface is that, the last thing I studied in philosophy was, this theory called, the computational representational model of the mind, which is a really fancy word to say that the mind is a computer.
Mm-hmm.
Do I believe that? I don't know. But, it's a very interesting theory, and it's worth looking into that and alongside phenomenology, which is also just like kind of the philosophy of experience. I'm a user experience designer, or at least that's what I've, gotten into. So, in terms of the pros and cons of technology, it is balance, like everything else we talk about. It has to be a balance. And the thing that people don't, or I think a lot of people do know this, but maybe not everyone, is that we're at a point now where the market in technology is, innovation is happening at more and more exponential rate, and there's Moore's law, which is, another subject that backs this up, that says that, the number of transistors that we can actually put onto a small chip to make it more efficient, less energy, more computation getting out of it, it's getting smaller and smaller, which means you can have a brain, whatever.
Interesting.
So, this is all happening while we're talking in every moment. So you need to achieve a balance in your life. And I do not think that I became anywhere close to a balance in my life until probably last year. And it was a necessity, to be able to kind of just, how do you exist in this world with a constant bombardment of notifications, of people asking, where are you? You know, like, I haven't heard from you. Or, like, hey, I sent you a text message, and, like, question mark. Where, like, well, you got my message. I know you got my message. Like, why aren't you, whatever.
It's like they pick with the needle constantly.
Exactly.
From, like,
and
computer devices, tech devices. Yeah.
Exactly. And you know, people have adopted these things for good reasons, though. Because the things like Facebook or whatever it is, right? They are connecting us together and have all this great stuff, right? You know, terrorist attacks that go on in, like, France or, like, whatever. Facebook puts out something that says, like, hey, check on your friends. Are they okay? They can click a button real quick, let you know they're okay, right? Because you love them, right? This is an example of technology doing good things, right?
Right.
In a way, Uber, right? In a way, there's all controversy around this, but the basic fact of sharing resources, or just the share economy, as we call it, with Uber, Airbnb, and stuff like that, these things are all helping sharing resources so we don't create waste. And it also creates jobs. It creates the ability for people to, in a way, not totally. Okay?
I like the first one. I don't know about the second.
Yeah.
But it's okay. I get it.
Disruption. Innovation comes with disruption. I'm not saying it's good or bad. I'm just saying this is what's happening.
Right.
So the pros is that we're now at a point with technology where we can automate a lot of the BS. A lot of the stuff that's, like, not...
Daily tasks?
Yeah, the mundane stuff. Like, for instance, like, the human brain, okay, can only deal with so many things. Attention span is a real thing, right, that we've talked about for a long time.
Right.
And if you have... I have an Apple Watch on right now, right? I also have a cell phone in my pocket, and then I have my laptops, and I have fucking computers. I'm a nerd. You have all this stuff everywhere, right?
Yeah.
But the thing is that, like, if I hook them all up and use them to their full potential, that I know what they can do, oh my God, my life will go crazy, because I will be getting hit for everything. So where we are is automation, using applications and tools that automate those mundane things, make it easier, right? Like, I've adopted a scheduling, application called Calendly, which basically just looks at my calendar and then gives people that want to, or people that I want to book time with, rather than having this whole back and forth. I don't know, are you there? Are you available then, that, whatever have you? Like, I'm able to actually go ahead and say, just look at my schedule, what time? And it's not
transparency.
Yeah, it's exactly.
Yeah.
Honesty, and just,
do you put, like, those private things, like I have to go brush my teeth?
No, they can't see. They don't see. Yeah. But
because I had that situation kind of with one of my bosses, who was a younger guy. Yeah. I'm like, I don't want to see what he has.
No, yeah.
Okay.
No, this is that's a real simple thing. Sharing your calendar is one thing, but using a service that obfuscates it and says, like, this person is not free during these times, and it's none of your business.
So you don't have to deal with it. You don't have to put time into that.
Yeah, it definitely is an advantage for me, but at the same time, it's also an advantage for the other person. So we don't have to spend time. Another thing.
But then it eliminates interaction between people.
Well, that is true, except that's when you're not finding balance and mindfulness on a holistic perspective. Because these things are not human interactions. They are machine interactions. They're automation. If you automate that part of your life, it gives you more time to have real interactions.
In person.
Because I think the goal is to try and get more time back for yourself, to be well, so you can use your brain.
Well, and I mean, me as having family abroad, like, technology has done, it helps me to stay connected with my family. So that's a big one for me.
Yeah, what would happen if that didn't exist right now? What would you do? how many, who, you don't have to go into details, but like how many?
Phone calls. Well, I mean, if we didn't have phones.
No, if you didn't, like, how would you get, like, I mean, was it, like, depending on where your family is, like, so say, like, you know, someone's family, and there's tons, especially in D.C., you know, we have a whole international community, right? They don't have, if they call Trinidad and Tobago, Ethiopia, like, they were buying calling cards.
Right. I've done calling cards, so yes.
But now, with the internet, you have technology, it's...
So, so two main things I guess I'm getting out of this is, it's streamlining and less work for humankind.
For mundane tasks.
Mundane.
That would be, I think, that's the wellness way of doing it. Otherwise, you're just a robot.
Well, yeah, absolutely. And it's, it's convenience, I guess. Convenience of distance living and all that stuff, right?
Yeah. And remote work is getting really big now.
Yes, and that's something I like.
Me too.
For sure.
Yeah. So,
all right. So that's kind of what it cons and pros then.
I guess. I mean, I think it's a huge subject, but yeah. I mean, at a high level, it's what comes to mind first.
But for me, what about homes? Like, one.
Oh yeah.
One is electrically extremely unhealthy on the body.
What, the radio frequencies?
Because natural body, we have 8 minutes. Natural body has electromagnetic fields on its own, natural. Mm-hmm. That's the aura, that's all of that. Mm-hmm. And that's what I do through my classes is I replenish, I reestablish, I balance out the internal energy.
Yep.
Which is including emotional energy, emotional balance.
That makes sense.
I start with the physical and then I go into emotional and then meditation. And of course it affects the mental state of being.
Yeah.
So my point is I fix those things that we have from how we live, what we eat, and the electrical, tools and gadgets that we use are affecting our body. So that's a huge con for me.
Yeah, and what I say about that, as again, coming from science.
Creates my job.
Absolutely. No, but here's the truth is that it feels quite, if the body, or organisms generally, right, alive creatures that exist in some physical state, or at least that there's between mind and body, right, or consciousness and body, going more philosophical here. Like, it makes sense that, like, being mindful, or the fact that, like, any external energy, whether electromagnetic, whether heat, I guess everything's, and whatever energy it is, right? Like, there's an effect that can have. I mean, like that, like even from my perspective, like I fully, as a more sciencey person, like I totally buy into that and believe it because it's like you're next to the Chernobyl freaking reactor for a while, okay? That's energy. Yeah. And what's it doing to you? How does it cause cancer? It knocks away and messes up your RNA sequences and your whatever.
Well, so that's a huge one. Yeah. And so, do you have what other cons can you think of?
Relational. Yeah. Oh my God. Okay, everyone, please, for the love of God.
Okay, we have about 2 minutes or something. We have 6 minutes left, but we have to have time for contact information.
Absolutely.
So 3 more minutes.
So I think the only thing I'll say, really, to cap it off, is we have all these new tools, chatbots, chats, these even webcams, and all these different ways. Nothing replaces being in the presence of somebody else when it comes to communication. Number one. And number two, the next best thing is simulating that experience as much as possible. So rather than thinking about webcams and FaceTime and all this stuff is just this kind of gimmicky thing, No, like hearing, seeing, interpreting body movements, facial expressions. This is all communication. And to take for granted the fact that it's just sound of words, and that's all that there is to communication, can really lead you astray because it can lead to misinterpretation.
Well, I agree, definitely. But nowadays, I always say but, and I always get, some people don't like it.
No, I want to hear you.
Supposedly, for advertisement, you're supposed to say and. See, I'm getting out all the secrets on the radio.
That's okay. That's I mean, I'm learning too.
I know. Running my own online business and doing all the videos, you learn all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
But what I was going to say is, actually, I forgot what I was going to say. I think I'm just going to end with our contact information because we're running out of time. I'm going to be late, but it's been a great conversation.
Yeah, absolutely.
We were talking about online versus in-person communication.
Yes.
I'm just remembering now.
Yeah.
But yeah, absolutely, it's no doubt about it, and that's what everyone is talking about, that we don't have relationships in person anymore. We have it online. So that's the point, and of course, it's crazy. So, but let me give out Evan's information. So your website, Evan, is evansamek.design.
You can also
DESIAGN.
Yeah, you can also redirect you. evansamek.com goes redirects there as well.
Awesome. And so I guess that's it. I'm going to spend a few minutes finishing up with my information, but it was awesome to have you in the studio.
Thank you so much, Roxana. This is honestly, it's so great to talk to you. It really is. Thank you so much. Thanks for giving me the opportunity.
Yeah, it was a pleasure, and thank you so much. And we'll talk about the OneWheel.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we
more.
Yeah. We can talk about that more anytime.
Awesome. So, well, dear listeners, this is it. What I want to do right now is to give our information for Organic Frequency Radio. So email us at organicfrequencyradio@gmail.com. Then please find us on Facebook and Instagram at Organic Frequency Radio. And also, I'm going to mention our Feminine Frequency Radio Network that we have now with 14 radios coming up, one at a time. And please email us if you have any questions at Feminine Frequency Radio Network @gmail.com. And also you can find us on Facebook and Instagram the same way, Feminine Frequency Radio Network. My email address is theancientwisdom@gmail.com. The same for Facebook, The Ancient Wisdom. And Stephanie's email is edensbalance@gmail.com, and Facebook the same, edensbalance. So connect to us for any questions. Stay connected to us, and we will be live next Monday at 6:30 Pacific Time, 9:30 Eastern Time, and I'm looking forward to chatting with you again. Have a beautiful night, and chat next time.